Hi, guys, and welcome to my podcast. And this new episode is very special because I'm going to talk about how immigration to Canada influenced my physical and mental health. And I think this is important to speak up about that. First of all, I want to start by explaining that I want to really open up to you guys and talk about this because a lot of people do not care about their mental health or physical health up to the point when it's just too late. Okay? So I want to tell you a couple of things. First of all, if you have not checked out my previous episodes where I talk about my job and what I did when I just came to Canada. When I came to Canada, I was an ESL instructor and I was working for several private language schools. And I experienced a lot of financial pressure, and I was building up my hours and experience in order to qualify for express entry immigration. And to me, all my decisions made a perfect sense at that moment, considering what I knew. So when I talk about that, what I mean is that in order to qualify for a Canadian experience class immigration stream or pathway, I had to work longer hours, and one school could not provide as many hours as I needed. And when I talk about hours, I mean teaching hours, which makes it more difficult for those people who are not teachers. I don't think you would be able to relate fully to that. However, I want to say that for me, that was very long hours working for two schools. My day would start at 9 and it would finish at 9 p.m. So starts at 9 a.m. and would finish at 9 p.m. And I would only get like 1 hour of lunch break that was unpaid. And also like 2 hours in between two jobs that I was holding back then. So, and my motivation was ultimately immigration. So I was working nonstop. And I was financially also desperate. I could not afford to take time and really think about my health and really think about what I was doing with my life. I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. And it's like about 12 hours a day I was working, and because official hours never consider preparation and printing and other things. I was in a survival mode. And I had so first of all, I want to tell you guys that before this, whatever happened to me, and I ended up in a hospital, I had never experienced any health problems, any major health problems. But it all started small, and I'd wake up with a sore back, like my lower back was sore, and I would think, oh, it's just from sitting all day. I would go and work out during the weekend, so no problem. I did not make a big deal out of that, so I just kind of brushed it off, and I got on with my day. And I would do that constantly, I think for 3 or 4 months. I was just kind of saying that, okay, I need to be strong, I need to work on my immigration, on my hours, to qualify for a Canadian experience class. And I ignored the pain, but it never went away. It got bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger. And the backache became a constant companion of mine, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, because I'm a teacher. And I'd be teaching a class and I would have to grip the desk and just to stay upright or just sit upright, not stay upright. That's the thing. I could not stand up because most of the time I was teaching a hybrid class. And I had big classes, and I would have to spend long hours just checking essays and lots of work that I had to do outside of my paid hours. So one day came, and I went to work. I could barely walk, and I was ignoring my pain. I was taking painkillers up to the point where they were not helping, because that pain turned out to be a sciatica nerve pain. And still up to that point, though I'd been to many doctors and the reason for that was not established completely, so to speak, and a lot of doctors would say just because of stress, you gotta work less and so on. And I stopped working. Like, after all, you should know that I quit my job. And I'm grateful to my husband that I could do that. Yeah, but let's not kind of rush. Let me hold my horses, so to speak. I'll just kind of tell you bit by bit. So one day I was on my way to work, and like I said, the pain got to the point where I could not move properly. I couldn't even get up and just get out of bed, but I kept pushing anyway. I was kind of in denial. I would say like, no, that's okay. I'll just tough it out and I go to work. So I went to work, and just at the point where I was teaching, and I knew that I would just like, I would cry, right? But I could not do that in front of my students. So luckily back then I had a very good friend at work, very close friend, that I'm really grateful also that I had that friend. And he told me that, look, you got to go to a hospital. You need some immediate attention, medical attention. So he said, I'll cover for you. I'll just talk to the manager. And so he did. He really helped me. And my manager was kind of scared because she was worried about me. And I was a valuable teacher. I was doing a lot for that organization. So I called an Uber, and Uber took me home. And then from home, I called an ambulance. I did not want to put any pressure on that organization whatsoever, because ultimately that was not their fault. It was my choice to work long hours and to put so much pressure on myself. So I ended up in an emergency room, and I'd been waiting for 4 hours, but it was not helping. They could not help me. They were just injecting some ibuprofen, but that was not doing anything because it's a nerve pain. So for several days I'd been suffering up until the point where I actually got acupuncture treatment. And then I ended up going to a walk-in clinic, because back then I did not have a family doctor. So in a walk-in clinic, the doctor was really nice, and he provided me with some prescription medication, some antihistamine pills, and just ultimately referred me to a neurologist. And so that's how it all started. At the end of the day, it helped, but then kind of this idea was creeping up, and I was just thinking that this is something wrong with my life. I'm not doing things right, because emotionally, and I think all the doctors, when they saw the blood, all my blood work, my blood tests were fine, like my MRI, my whatchamacallit, oh my god, all the screens and the testings, and they looked at the bones, and nothing was there, right? This kind of nerve pain stems from your mind, actually. And I reached the point where I kind of admitted to myself that I need medical help, like I need a therapy, right? Because immigration is all about loss. And I noticed, just judging the way I acted, that I really needed help, because I was trying to kind of bottle up all my feelings, trying to kind of deny all my feelings that I had. And it was a wake-up call for me. And I'm really grateful again. I'm really grateful that my husband, he said that, like, you need to go and see a therapist, and he agreed to pay for that, because that's also not free. As you know, in Canada, it's kind of expensive. But I started seeing a therapist, and turns out, and it was not just, it was like an emotional collapse, and I had so many invisible wounds, actually, that I was carrying around just inside me. I'm that kind of person who is overly responsible, and I would always take things really close to my heart. And there's just so many things that were going on in my life. And I just want to tell you one thing, guys. Like, I really had breakdowns, and all I cared was like my immigration, my status, because I did not want to go back to Ukraine. That there is a war going on. So it was not safe for me, right? So I was really working towards that immigration, and I put that first. But all I needed to do was still have my health as the first priority, because everything comes from health. You're it's like if you don't have health, you're not going to have anything. In my case, before moving to Canada, I also lost my business. My parents were not supportive when it came to my immigration. My friends were not supportive. And then, I came here and it was just a matter of circumstances, and just, it was hard, and I was a different person. And I want to tell all of you guys, either if you are in Canada or you're going to come to Canada, or maybe you're in a different country and you're going through that, you just gotta seek or try to look for all kinds of help. If you can't afford, look for free help. And there should be no shame in that, because especially when it comes to teaching, you spend so much time with people, and there is this, what I call, emotional tax. We as teachers, as instructors, we pay this invisible emotional tax on everything we do, because we talk to so many people, we help so many people. And at some point, I knew that things were falling apart for me, because it's just I don't want to sound dramatic, but sometimes I would just come home and cry, and I would cry in the middle of the night, or I would cry in the shower, and I would cry in the washroom at my workplace. Just because on the outside, I was this perfect teacher. I was this nice and helpful and perfect person. But deep down inside, I was just feeling what I was feeling. I was broken. I was emotionally shattered. I was overworked. I was underpaid. Because ESL instructor job, no matter which school you're working for, because I worked for several schools, it's not a well-paid job. And I kept pretending that I was just swimming. I was but honestly, therapy helped me a lot. And my therapist referred me also to other doctors, and I could get help. And maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, oh, no, I'm strong. That's not about me. Oh, I'm gonna handle this on my own. I don't want to talk about this with my partner or with my mother or with whoever. In my life, I also met a lot of wonderful people here in Canada, but there was this one special person who I met. And this person was, of course, I'm not going to say any names or anything, but this person was hiding his mental problems also from his partner, from his family. And so was I. I was doing exactly the same, right? I was just this perfect partner, this perfect teacher, but deep down, I was just not accepting the fact that I was going through loss of business before I came here, starting from zero, and then loss of everything, because immigration is ultimately not about gain, but about loss. And first, you gotta go through all of the stages, grieving, right? Denying, accepting, and those things, right? I'm not a therapist, but I'm just kind of wanted to share that it's not the sign of weakness if you want to seek help. And you just, I don't want you to reach the point where you realize I'm just sleepwalking through my life, right? I was just existing. I don't want you to think like that. I want you to prevent that from happening. I want you to kind of try and start early and go and see a therapist, talk about that. And and just do not put this brave face on, right? Because at some point you would not be able to do that physically. I think my mind spoke to my body, right? And I was just finding excuses and saying, oh, no, it's okay. I'll go to work tomorrow. I'll teach a bit more. I just need those hours. But then I was empty, and you cannot pour from an empty cup, as they say, right? It's not about strength. It's just about accepting that you need help, first of all. And then I started therapy. I think immigrants are particularly vulnerable. Nobody tells you about that. It's not just a geographical move. It's upheaval of your entire life. You're rebuilding from scratch if you're an immigrant. You're learning languages. You are doing what the system tells you to do. You're navigating a tough job market. You're searching for yourself, searching for a new career. And I think it's just one of the reasons why people do not seek help or delay getting help is just because they are afraid of judgment. They're afraid of being judged by their partner. But just looking back right now, I'm in a different place right now. I'm in a better place, thank God. But just when I came here in the first 2 or 3 years in Canada, I was a different person. Like at times I would be only complaining or only be sad or just like hide my feelings, bottle up my feelings. And I want to tell you one thing, that it's not healthy, right? And it leads to all kinds of unhealthy behaviors. It kind of leads to unhealthy, I don't know, like even personality traits that just surface. And do not be afraid of getting help, because mental health is a taboo subject in many cultures. I know that in a lot of Asian cultures, as well as in Russian, Ukrainian, Belarus cultures, like post-Soviet Union cultures. But I do think that you can always, in your mind, you can find an excuse, like either financial barrier. You got to tell yourself, oh, it's too expensive. How am I supposed to afford a therapist? But there are free options out there. And if you were fighting for your immigration status of permanent resident, and then you got your status and you got your documents, so then there are more options that can be more affordable for you. And and don't be afraid of judgment. Even like your partner, if they love you, they will understand you. Because if you are afraid of that, there's always be some kind of normalization, right? Like you would always find excuses not to go and see a therapist. And how do I start finding help? Like, ask yourself, do I need help? And yes, you do. What kind of things you do that led you where you are right now? Do you want to keep living like that, or do you want to ultimately change your life, right? And then start looking, because like if you let's say speak Russian or Ukrainian, you would want to find a specialist in Russian and Ukrainian, right? There are apps. I don't think I would trust an app, honestly, like in a way that AI is not the same. AI is not a therapist. Artificial intelligence is not about therapy. There are support groups, there are crisis lines, but ultimately do something. Do not just kind of hide it, right? Because right now, I think like just looking back, I kept brushing it off. I kept like toughing it out. That was not the best thing to do, or just playing doctor is not the best thing to do. I think immigration is all about fresh start, and but after all, it almost destroyed me. And I think it's just important to turn that corner and actually get help. And I hope that you are in a better place. And just looking back and just upon reflection, I want to say that I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry that, if you're listening to this and you are in the same situation, you're not alone. Yeah. I'm sorry that they were people who I hurt, because I was going through so much in my life. And, if only I had met those people at the right time in the right place, right? But like in life, things happen the way they are. We meet people, we do things right now. And the important thing is that at least you want to get out, right? You want to be in a better place. Just don't wait. Call someone, make an appointment. Don't wait until you are in a hospital bed like I was. Don't wait until you hit this rock bottom. Get help today. You deserve it. You're worth it. And it's not just like, I don't want to sound like a life coach or whatever, but trust me, your life can get better. And I promise you that, but you got to believe in yourself, and you got to do something today. That's what you got to do. And I'm really grateful. Grateful for everything. Grateful to my husband for everything, because he saw me when I was at my best. He saw me when I was at my worst, and he stayed. Ultimately, he stayed with me. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was not easy for me to record this one, but I kept recording so many episodes just about things like language tests, or just overall my story, how I immigrated, how I became a permanent resident. But I think that we really need to take a good care of ourselves, because who else is going to care about you? Who else but not you? So for me now, yeah, I changed my life. I had really important experiences that shaped me, and that changed me a lot. And I met people who changed me a lot. And like, I was thinking to myself that, after all those rejections and all of the pain that I suffered from, I'm grateful because I found a better version of me, found new interests in life, professional interests as well. And everything happens for a reason. So maybe if I'm thinking that, it was not the right timing, it was not the right place, well, I guess maybe that was the right timing, that was the right place. And I'm really sorry if you're going through the same situation. But just please, 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 please get help. Yeah. So I hope that it was just something that maybe it can inspire you, and you could ask yourself, what do you want from your life? And you could honestly ask yourself if you need help. So that's also important to me as a teacher, because all of my life I've been helping people one way or another. So maybe this episode today about my physical health, my mental health problems that I had, maybe it will help you, and you can become honest with yourself and with your partner, with your parents. Yeah. And I hope you have a good day, guys. And next time we'll talk about other important things as a part of life in Canada and immigration and your journey. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that just thank you for spending these 20 minutes with me, and I hope you enjoyed. So take care and see you in the next episode.